Hi you guys out there in YouTube land, Chibi back here with Claymore, your hands backwards, Claymore, and as I promised quite a while ago, I'm here to do my how to save money in the hobby, and no, this is any kind of miracle video, I'm sorry. It's just kind of basic things that maybe you might have not thought of, maybe you have and you've been doing them anyways and they're useless to you, I'm sorry. Or maybe helpful to people who are newer in the hobby and may not know all the options and things of that manner. So I've listed here a couple things that I do to personally save money in this hobby. I'm not rich, as I've mentioned in a video before. I do have a lot of dolls, but it has nothing to do with having a lot of money. It has a lot to do with just, you know, this is my hobby, this is what I want to spend my money on, and I do it in the best fashion I possibly can. So, my first big thing, and I know certain people will never do this, but people like me do it all the time, and it's be patient and order during events. If you know what doll you want and it's not limited, don't buy it until there's an event. Yes, it's going to take longer to get to you, but you're also going to get other items, and you could potentially get other items you actually want. You can sell, and yes, certain event items are kind of hit and miss. Some become super popular and worth a lot. Some are not popular at all, but they can come in handy. Sometimes you can get an extra head, and if you're someone who wants to learn or practice face-ups, you have a free head to work on, or you have a head to sell, or if you love the head, you can actually make it into another doll. Same thing goes for extra dolls that you can get. A lot of companies like Doll Zone give just straight little dolls, depending. I've had quite a few of them, and they're very interesting. I have personally sold all mine, because they weren't to my taste, but that did help with the cost of the original doll. So, yes, I really think waiting for events is worth it, and if a doll's not limited, I pretty much attempt to do that most of the time. There's certain companies that don't do events, and certain ones that do. And some companies do more worthwhile events than others. I'll say like Ringdoll and Eiffel House, their events may or may not be worth waiting for, depending on what you like, because you really have to spend a lot most of the time with Eiffel House to get anything like their free doll. And normally you'll just get like a free wig, but you can always wait for that anyways. Or like Ringdoll, they have events scarcely, so it's really hard to figure out when things, and they also discontinue dolls at random times without you really realizing it's going to happen, so. But other companies like Doll Zone, Doll Cheetah, the majority of what Mint on Card has on their website, they all do events, and so that's always a good thing. One of the reasons I have him here is for number 2, hybriding is okay. Pretty much, I know this is hit and miss with people in the hobby as well. There are certain people who are completely against hybriding, and there are certain people who live for hybriding and have a crap ton, or that's all they have are hybrids. I know of certain people in this hobby who will have multiple heads and F-doll bodies, which are the most common in hybriding that I've noticed, which is what he is. And you can have expensive heads and then a more affordable body, because technically his head cost me more than his body. His head was straight from the company blank, and I think with shipping it was like $185, whereas I bought this F-doll body off the secondhand market and got it for $130. So I couldn't afford another midget doll body because of course that is roughly $400. Whereas this is a lot cheaper. And I'm doing it again. So, yes, hybriding is okay. It can be a little bit harder, and you sometimes have to deal with not perfect matches. He is not a perfect match. But in the long run, especially if you're new to this hobby or you just don't have a lot of cash, you can always use F-doll bodies as temporary bodies, and they tend to move back and forth on the marketplace pretty decently. So, yeah. And let's see, third, I have the secondhand market. That lately has been quite the crazy snafu type thing going on because of all the recasts going around and people being afraid. So pretty much my advice is, it's okay to use the secondhand market. It's not all companies are recasted. Do your research. Join castaways. You can pretty much see every type of company that's recast and every sculpt of the company that is recast on that website. So if you want a doll zone blah blah blah, it's not recast. You're fine. And you can get it off the secondhand market. Now, other dolls, you're going to have a much harder problem with that, and you're going to have to be a lot more careful with what you do. And I've done a video on recasts before. I don't know if I mentioned how to tell the difference. If I haven't, y'all can tell me and I can give you tips on how I do it. But pretty much the general gist is, if it's a Chinese company, you're more than likely good. I so far have not seen any of the major Chinese companies been recast. Now, if it is not Chinese, that is a different story, and you need to check castaways. And certain sculpts just aren't recasted, certain ones are. If it's Fairyland, Apple House, or Volks, or Zoom, you need to check and see if it's recast. If not, then you're more on the safer side. There are a couple from a couple other companies, but it's not like their entire company like it tends to be with those four. So be careful, but look for deals, because I've gotten some pretty great deals on the secondhand market. Like two of my minifees who had one had a default company face up, which you could tell was real, and the other one, and a bunch of other things to prove that it was real, and one was an event head that's not recast. So I got a great deal from this amazing person on there, and a bunch of clothes and everything I needed for a doll, so for them, and I was super super happy. So if you're patient and you know what you want, you can always keep an eye out on the secondhand market, because sometimes people sell dolls as sets with a bunch of clothes and stuff like that, because they're either leaving the hobby or they don't have any dolls left in that size, or they just are getting rid of the character completely. So always look out for a good deal on the marketplace. I know it can be super scary, but in the long run, if you do your research, it's worth it. Also, on the top, when it comes to the secondhand market, I think a great use that a lot of people use, and some, especially recently, I've seen quite a few, are the want to buy threads. If you want something specific from Den of Angels, a want to buy thread can be a treasure. Some people will look on the Den of Angels marketplace and not actually post up a doll that they might want to sell, and see that you're wanting to buy that exact same doll, and it's easier for them to contact you and be like, I have this and I'm willing to sell it, than having to start up a whole want to buy thread and wait and hope, you know? So, want to buy threads, being really specific and putting on there what you want, has gotten me my minifees. I've had a couple unsuccessful want to buy threads, but I do think they're worth your time. Another thing that I use, clearly, if you watched my last video, is Layaway. If you have a steady income, you know where your income's coming from and how much, Layaway can be really useful. It doesn't save you a lot of money in the long run, unless you're, like, I do layaways during event periods with Mint on Card or Denver Doll Emporium, because those time periods tend to take the dolls a lot longer to come anyways. So, it might not save you a lot of money, but it's a lot easier to put down $100 at a time through Mint on Card, and you can have up to a 6-month layaway, than it is to put down the entire amount sometimes. But also be careful, because sometimes you really just don't realize how much you're spending on dolls when you do that. So, watch out. The sound on my video is about to break up. for a second. Okay, I think the sound comes back after 10 seconds. Hopefully. The last major thing, and I made this mistake when I first got into the hobby, and this is mainly for newbies who don't realize this. You do not have to get name brand things like sandpaper, face-up supplies, sealant, wig caps, toothbrushes, or brushes, and all that stuff. I know sometimes it can be scary to venture off doll websites to get things like this, but as long as you figure out exactly what you need, you don't have to buy the specialty items from the companies. If you're learning how to do face-ups and you're not great at them yet, you can buy testers. It yellows faster, but it's a lot cheaper if you're just going to be wiping off a lot. Sandpaper can generally be gotten at many local hardware stores. You just need to go to the finishing section or ask someone where very high grade sandpaper is and just look up what grade of sandpaper you need. Face-up supplies is another thing. You just have to look up what brands are safe with what are like acrylic brands and stuff, and go to Michael's. And generally, if you go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby, they have coupons. Hobby Lobby has a constant 40% off coupon, off one item, and you can choose whatever item it is, so you can always use that. Michael's tends to have one about once a week if you get the newspaper, or you go online and print it off. And I generally did that to get a lot of my face-up supplies. It came out a lot cheaper, especially when you're buying like a huge thing of Winsor Newton brush cleaner, and it's like 20 bucks or 18 bucks or something when you get the big one, and you use a 40% off coupon. So, also, I find it absolutely hysterical, and I wanted to mention this. I swear Volks sells a toothbrush for styling your doll's hair. A really expensive toothbrush for styling your doll's hair. I'm never gonna get over that. Just use a very soft toothbrush. It's okay. So, hopefully I didn't miss anything. I made this list a while back. I really think, other than making your own stuff, that is really the cheapest things I know of to do. If you have any other suggestions, I'd love to hear them in the comments below. And check out the little box underneath the description box, because if someone gives a really good idea, I'll put it in there and let y'all know, so y'all can look it up, so y'all can see those as well. And so thank you for watching, and I really hope that was helpful. I know a lot of it was kind of common sense and really hopeful and stuff, but sometimes it helps here, especially if you're new to the hobby and haven't really figured out about all this. So thanks for watching. Bye.